Hello and good afternoon to all of you. My name is Blanca Tatzer and I am the moderator of the today's Pan-European Conference on Digital Education. Welcome everyone. This session number is number 32, which is already a big number. And in the today's session, we are promoting a 3H project with 4 different presentations. I will tell you more about the program later, because first we would like to see who are our presenters for the today's event. Firstly, I would like to welcome Tristan Middleton. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too. So each of the presenters, which are hiding now behind the scenes, will tell us a little bit about themselves. So Tristan, few sentences.
Yes, hello. So my name is Tristan Middleton and I'm based in Gloucestershire in the United Kingdom. And I'm senior lecturer in inclusive education at the University of Gloucestershire, and talking to you today about authentic inquiry and an Erasmus project that we've been working on for a number of years.
Thank you very much. Our second presenter will be Genevieve Murphy. Hello.
Hello. Nice to see you, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. My name is Genevieve Murphy, and I am the co-founder of Know My World. We are a global education organization that focuses on social, emotional, and cultural learning. We do that through teacher professional development training and student programs and virtual cross-cultural exchanges. So I will be sharing some of our projects and programs with you today, and I'm grateful to be here. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And here we have a contributor from Sweden. So hello, Jonas Abrahamsson.
Hello, good to be here.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I can. I'm based in Vänersborg in West Sweden, and I work with folk high schools. Maybe some of you don't know what that is, but I guess I will describe that later on. But yeah, I work with adult education in this Scandinavian context. Yeah, and I run the project NEETs for NEETs. I'm the project leader of that Erasmus Plus financed project. And I'm going to talk more about that later on, I guess.
Great, thank you very much. Yeah, we have the fourth presenter as well, but she will come a little bit later. She will join. So at the moment, I will just quickly go through the program so that we will see what is waiting for us in this following 90 minutes. We have 4 presentations. So the first one will be Tristan with the presentation using authentic inquiry as a pedagogical approach to re-engage and motivate learners. Then Genevieve Murphy will follow with the presentation on cultivating responsible global citizens through project-based learning. Jonas, he already mentioned that he focused on NEETs, so his presentation will be NEETs for NEETs, how experience-based knowledge can improve social sustainability. And Marija Nedevska will also present problem-based learning on social emotional competencies. So I think we have a very interesting program for today as well, and that we all will learn something new and maybe some new ways or some new ideas how to work with our students. All the presentations are, as usual, available in the Facebook group, Pan-European Conference on Digital Education, so you can download them and learn from them even later or even during the conference, and maybe just type some notes so that you will remember them easier. We are again lucky because we also organized poster sessions. So if you would like to present your teaching practice, you can go to this link, similar as in September's conference, and you can contribute your teaching practice in English. So the link leads you to Padlet. Yeah, I will also put this link into the comments later when I will stop speaking. And you will see there are already, like, I don't know, maybe 40 different presentations of different practices. All of them are connected with the topic that we have in 3H project. So the topics are self-directed learning, problem-based learning on social emotional competences, best practice on well-being and motivation at school, and best practice on welcoming and guidance activities in schools. So really welcome to upload those presentations, and as you know, you can earn your certificate of poster presentation for this work. Thank you very much to the Erasmus Plus program so that we can have such a rich program today with so many different presentations. Okay, what do I need to tell you more before we start? Of course, it's very important to know about the certificate of attendance. So the certificate of attendance will be available. I will put the link into the comments, and then you just click on it, provide your data, so name and surname and email, and then the app will send you the certificate of attendance automatically. But be patient, because you know, if a lot of people want the certificate, then the app starts becoming a little bit slower. So the presenters are with us. Please do ask them questions. You put the questions into the comments, and later I will ask the questions and they will provide the answers according to the best of their knowledge. Okay, I think that's all for the start. So now I will just give my word to Tristan with his first presentation on using authentic inquiry. So tell us more about this tool. I'm also very curious about your experience, and also maybe about some of your advices that you can give us for better work.
Thank you. So just to share those slides.
Yep. They are
There we are.
here.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. So thank you for this opportunity to talk to you about authentic inquiry. This is based on an Erasmus Plus project called Renyo, where we worked with children who were in secure institutions in conflict with the law. But I'm not going to focus so much on that. I'm going to really focus on the process of authentic inquiry. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about young people in conflict with the law and why they're important young people to work with, and then our project, and then talk to you about authentic inquiry, and then a little bit about what we found about the authentic inquiry approach. So for young people who do offend, who are in conflict with the law, research has showed us that educational attainment is low, that young people drop out from education long before they are incarcerated, are locked away. And often we see that there are complex backgrounds for these young people in terms of their family, their economic background, their social background. Also, it's been found that there is a high level of special educational needs of the young people who are locked away or in conflict with the law. And researchers talked about being an offender means that you have already disengaged from education and learning. So what we've got is a group of young people who are not engaged in learning, and we felt that we needed to work to look at how to improve ways to bring back that engagement and see themselves as learners. A little bit about the notion of engagement, which is maybe important, that engagement can be cognitive, affective, so to do with emotions and feelings, as well as behavioral. And disengagement is a different engagement. So for young people who have really disengaged completely, we might need different approaches than we might take with young people who have poor engagement. And as I mentioned before, that disengagement of young offenders is often very different. And there's some research you can look at. One of my colleagues, Adila Ahmed Shafi, has been writing about that. So we were working for 3 years on an Erasmus Plus project across Germany, Spain, Italy, and the United Kingdom, all who have very different ways of working with young people who are in conflict with the law. And we were exploring this methodology of authentic inquiry to see how that might be a useful tool for pedagogues to re-engage young people. So authentic inquiry, this pedagogical approach, this methodology, is about learning as a holistic process, thinking about why one might believe what one believes, how we reach conclusions, what things we know, what data we have, and what examples exist to help us learn and access those ideas. So it takes a very broad view of what education is, not, for example, like thinking only about learning facts or skills. It's much more holistic. And authentic inquiry really fits within this notion of inquiry guided learning. So practices which promote student learning, not to find answers, but to investigate complex and interesting matters. So it's really about process more than outcome. Part of that process is learner empowerment. So the importance of our learners actually having agency in their learning. Thinking also developing their own self-perception. So we talked about engagement and disengagement and young people not seeing themselves as learners. So it's about developing that self-perception and that sense of themselves as a learner, and validating the knowledge that they hold and the interests that they hold. Because sometimes we can find learners see that the formal learning that they're expected to engage with in schools isn't relevant to them. It's also about creativity. And what I understand by creativity is a notion of having a task and finding ways to engage with that task or that outcome, but with an open-ended outcome. So we're looking at an issue, a problem, something to be achieved, and creativity, an approach of creativity, is about open-ended outcomes. But also, authentic inquiry, we found, is a really useful prompt for educators to think about their own position and their own relationships with the learner. Deacon Crick is somebody who really wrote a lot about authentic inquiry and would be worth reading about if you're interested in authentic inquiry. And they talk about student experience, student choice, where we talked about agency, and really their learning being shaped by the learners, by their interests and their curiosities, and moving them towards that publicly accountable curriculum, but not starting at that point. Because often if we think we're going to get you ready for achievement in exams, that will turn students away, that will disengage students. Our authentic inquiry is also described as archaeological, in that it looks from many different angles and it explores and it is gentle, and a very explorative way of learning. So the authentic inquiry process has 8 stages, which I'm going to briefly talk about. And it moves the learner from their personal interest to finding a way to make their interests and their learning public. So we're moving from personal to public through this process. And again, this is a process, it's not about outcome. So it might mean that we need to go through that authentic inquiry process more than once, many times perhaps. Work with the learner and work through these 8 steps. So first of all, we ask the learner to choose something of interest. So they choose their topic. They often choose an artifact which represents that topic. So we give them their choice. They have agency in what I'm interested in. We then move to the second step where we ask them to observe maybe that object that they've chosen, that artifact, and describe what they already know about this topic. We then move to the third stage where we start them wondering and interrogating their thoughts about that topic. So thinking about, what do I not know? What questions might I have? We then move to stage 4 where we talk about discovering or storing. And this is where the learner thinks about how this subject fits within their own experiences, their own learning, where they might be able to take it. Where could they take this topic? Where might they want to explore, having interrogated it deeply? We then move to step 5, where they are navigating. And here we think about how they might look at how this fits within the public. So I've got this knowledge, this interest. Do other people have this interest? Do they have the same views? Do they have the same knowledge? And then they start to span this on stage 6. So this is where we ask them to start to explore, start to find out, answer some of these questions that they may have had, look at making those connections. Moving then to number 7, where they start to then produce something to evidence their learning, something to share with other people. So we can say, you've done all of this wonderful exploration. Other people would like to know about what you found out. So they start to incorporate this spanning and connecting, their questioning, into an artifact, an object, a performance, a piece of writing, a picture, whatever that might be. So we start to prepare them to share that with the public, whatever public that might be, their peers, however we might want to do that. And finally, step 8 is where the educator has a big task where they can then start to connect the learning that has happened to maybe a more formal curriculum and start to map into formalized learning and maybe be able to link that to qualifications that they've achieved. So using this process, what we found in our project was that when our trainers, our educators were trained in using authentic inquiry, they found that young people in custodial settings did re-engage with learning. Significantly, it was the emotional aspect of learning that was really the strongest, and the emotional engagement. So that changed their affect, and that the authentic inquiry with their agency and their interest was a real hook for motivating them to re-engage. But we also found that during our training, we asked the educators to actually to do their own authentic inquiry. And we found that that transformed the educator's perception around their relationships with their learners, their expectations about their own learning dispositions. And part of our project got the young people to look at their learning dispositions. And so, as an outcome, through doing authentic inquiry, through allowing more agency and allowing choice and interest of the learners, we found that the educators had improved relationships with the learners as well. So hopefully I've kept to my 15 minutes, so I'm happy to open to questions now.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, for presentation of the eight stages. We have several questions. I will show them.
Thank you.
Okay, maybe we can return a little bit back to this slide with stages. Okay, because there is one question. How do we cope with the break between stage 4 and 5? I think between stage 4 and 5, we might find the point of no return.
So thank you. I think our perspective is that this is a framework and that we need skilled educators who understand the learners, who work with those learners. And if those stages, there are challenges, then we might support those. We might move past those. So we might, if navigating and mapping is a very difficult task for that learner, so they've managed to talk about themselves as learners, what they might want to do, but find it really difficult to make that connection with the outside world, we might jump straight to number 6 and ask them to start exploring. And through that, we might return to 5. And so I think there's a key role here of the educator to actually scaffold that learning and use the framework flexibly. We found that with our trainers, often number 1 is an extremely difficult point, because somebody who's disengaged go, I'm not interested in anything. And so finding something and helping them. Well, I know that you did this. One of the young people who was in a secure institution, they had been involved in stealing, amongst other things, and they were stealing metal from church roofs. And their authentic inquiry was all about precious metals. And they said they're not interested in anything, but actually they were really interested in lead and the value and how it's made and how you can bend it and why it's heavy. So it's that thing about helping them to find and to navigate through the learning.
Yeah, right. Just a second. Okay. Yeah. Is the authentic inquiry more appropriate as an individual method or also as a group method?
Where in our project it was as an individual method. It's not very practical to use as a tool for a whole class unless we really change the way that we educate and that we approach that learning. However, there are examples where authentic inquiry has been done with a whole class or with 3 groups of 10 young people. there was a video online which was in Canada looking at public transport, and a group of 10 young people aged about I think 9 to 11 were looking at the provision for public transport in their city. And that was their interest. And then they looked and they spanned and they made connections with the local authority and the transport companies. And they did that as a group, and that worked. And that was an engaging and motivating project. But I think if we're looking at very disengaged learners at the outset, then individual learning is probably more appropriate.
Can you maybe share some of the questions you use using the method of authentic inquiry?
So it's been, I can remember one very distinct when I was training the trainers, and I had one trainer who said, I'm really not sure what to do. I'm not sure what I'm interested in. And I was just asking them to talk to me about what they're doing, what they're looking forward to. What are you going to be doing? What was something that you can remember that you really enjoyed? And they came down to piano. And they were going to see someone playing the piano, and they wished they could play the piano. And then when I was asking them to do step 2, they said, but I don't know anything about the piano. And so helping them to discover. So I said, what is a piano? What do you know? How does it work? How do we play it? Who's played it? Have you got any piano music that you listen to? And just by opening, they suddenly had a very big list, flow chart, a map of all of their knowledge when they told me, I don't know anything about the piano.
Yeah, it's broadening the perspective as I see it. Yeah. Okay, another question. So how do you see as a teacher the conflict between personal interests and needs? So are they the same maybe?
So I'm not quite sure I understand that question. I think I'm understanding that between the personal and the public, perhaps.
Perhaps, yeah.
And that often, because when we get to point 8, we're then validating and reconciling their personal interests. And I think often what happens in education is that somebody decides this is what you should learn, and this is good knowledge. And you must learn to do this and this and this. And for young people who are not engaged and not motivated, that can disengage them more. So it's about the skill of the educator to incorporate that. And often we are telling the young people that this is important, and they don't see that. And it's about, that's again the skill of the educator to move them to the public, where often they're thinking about the private.
So they are actually not the same, and it might be a conflict sometimes here. Yeah,
I think often we have that conflict.
I want to be smarter than youngsters. Yeah.
Yes, and so that's why we also start to question. We found that educators started to change their relationship with the learners and question their own identity and their own expectations.
And since you are working with young people that have trouble with the law, what do you think? If the competence fulfilling their needs, would they become responsible and civic citizens?
I think what we reflected is that often young people in conflict with the law who have disengaged from education, disengaged from their communities and from their civic society, find it very difficult to see a future. And that learning and looking forward to the future are really closely intertwined. So if we can re-engage them in learning, it helps them to look forward to a future. And if they look forward to a future, they will start to think about their role within their communities. So I think it develops a way of thinking that underpins those social and emotional competencies, which are around self-esteem, self-perception, and then start to develop some of those skills of controlling their emotions, their impulses, starting to use their prefrontal cortex to think about why they're behaving in the way that they are behaving.
Okay. Well, the questions are just raining, but maybe we just have time for one more, and then we move to another presentation. So, can the method of authentic inquiry be applied to all students or just with older?
So we've used authentic inquiry with young people from the age of 6 all the way through to adults. And as I said, the adults who were the trainers found the authentic inquiry extremely revealing about themselves and objects that they chose. There was a second part to that question.
Yeah, I didn't read it because we are a little bit
Oh,
out of
okay.
time, so we
Okay.
will stop at the
But yes,
age
it works
group,
with all age
which
groups.
is really inspiring. Yeah, that you can actually start with 6 years old, which is really great. Yeah. All right. So thank you very much. I think we are even more interested in the method and how we can use it with
So
our
on the
own.
Renyo website, which is on there are the train the trainer materials. So if you're interested in the work there, that last question, they can look there.
Thank you. Yeah, and probably even more practical examples and everything.
Yes.
So yeah, check on the website. And now we move. Thank you very much, Tristan. And now we move to Genevieve. Welcome, welcome once again. So she has a presentation on cultivating responsible global citizenship through project-based learning. I will just add to the stream, and here we go.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. So just a little bit about me. I am an educator. I have taught in the United States, which is where I'm from. I've also taught in Japan for 3 years. I lived in Aomori, Japan. And now I live and teach in Taiwan. I've been here in Taiwan for about 12 years. I worked at an international school for most of that time. I was a homeroom teacher, and then for the last 3 years while I was at the school, I became the social and emotional coordinator. So the project that I'm sharing with you today is one that I ran with my students. Sorry, I realized I should have switched the slide. So a project that I've run with my students over the years, and they've really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to share it with you, and I hope that you're able to find it helpful in your classrooms as well. So another little bit about me is that I am the co-founder of an education organization called Know My World. We established this in 2010. The co-founder and I met in Japan, and again, we were teaching abroad, and we were both very passionate about education. But we always felt that there's a missing link to the traditional education system. And we were both advocates for a whole child or a holistic approach to learning. So that's one aspect. And then we also realized that there's a lot of value and beauty and deep understanding when you're able to live and integrate with another culture. And that really helps to reduce a lot of the conditioned bias or misinformation or stereotypes or prejudice that exists between cultures. And so a big part of our mission became trying to bring authentic learning and cultural integration opportunities to classrooms around the world. And so this is our model. It's social, emotional, cultural and academic learning. So because we are educators and we know that the academic aspect is always highlighted, we do value that, but we also know that it's very, very important and very possible to embed social and emotional and cultural competencies into the curriculum as well. So all of our SEL work, research, projects use the framework from CASEL. CASEL is a large organization. It's been kind of the front runner of SEL learning and research for maybe 2 decades now, so for quite some time. And these are the 5 core competencies. So for those who are familiar with SEL, these are very familiar to you. And so the project that I'm going to show today is embeds these 5 competencies throughout it. And once again, just focusing on the whole child education and nurturing the emotional and mental well-being of our students, as well as the academic. So we've learned about culture and that there's so many deep layers of culture, but oftentimes when people think of culture or they learn about culture, they focus on surface culture. So food, clothes, music, festivals, language, holidays, things like that. And that is a fantastic approach to beginning to learn and recognize that cultures are different and have unique aspects. But we kind of call that the low-hanging fruit, so to speak, the easy to grasp concepts. But what we really want to do is to guide students to deeper culture, deeper layers. And we do this through inquiry-based learning. We do this through guided, facilitated discussions. We do this through authentic opportunities to meet and interact through facilitated cross-cultural exchanges and through in-person, real-life chances and opportunities to maybe travel or to interact with people from different cultures and backgrounds. And the more we're able to interact with diverse cultural backgrounds, the more we can understand and appreciate and value and understand that culture is it's a unique part of who we all are. It's our identity in a lot of ways. And the misconceptions and the stereotypes dissipate as you're able to really see the world in different ways and from a different view, right? And so through cultural competence, we're able to increase our own understanding, our own empathy, our own appreciation of cultures, and we're able to work with others and value their creativity, value their skill sets, value their knowledge, and it kind of helps level the playing field, so to speak. I think oftentimes some cultures tend to feel more dominant than others and kind of look down on other cultures, and that's a problem, right? And so because of that, or from misinformation or from just kind of influences from external sources, there's a lot of prejudice and discrimination that exists that really doesn't need to. What we need to do is focus on cultivating authentic opportunities to create meaningful relationships with students. And so how can we as educators really contribute to creating that type of shift in the world, right? Because we are the ones who are kind of responsible for the next generation and the mindset of future generations. So we can do this by supporting students in the cultivation of responsible cultural competencies. And responsible is underlined because it's very important. if we are not taught and trained and guided in how to contribute to the world, oftentimes we can jump into a situation with our own ideas of what the solution is supposed to be, based on our background and our knowledge or our experiences in the world. And we don't actually solve the problem. In fact, we can cause more harm than good. And yes, exactly. So empathy is very, very important. That's why in design thinking, that's the first step. And it's the same thing with our students, and with any kind of global impact that we want to make, we actually have to kind of back it up a little bit and reverse the mindset and focus on starting with the self. Understanding who we are, what is our relationship with our culture, how do we identify with it? And then from there we can expand and look around our community and what similarities and differences are there in the cultures within our local community, whether that's the classroom community or expanding into wider ranges, but still within our community where we interact with people on a personal basis. And then from there, that helps ground our understanding of culture and appreciation of the diversity of it. So now when we are stepping into the world and we're interacting with people who we don't know on a global level, we're not coming from this savior complex kind of mindset, and instead we are able to really see and value and appreciate others, and we can work with them in finding valuable solutions, right? So this is the trajectory that we really try to focus on and incorporate in all of our work and in all of our projects. And this again just kind of reiterates that same fact that we really need to start with self-awareness before we can focus on others. Because the deeper sense of self-awareness that we have, the more we're able to really tap into what are our values, what are our goals, and then how can we use those to make meaningful contributions. And it saves a whole lot of challenges or maybe negative unintentional impacts along the way. So I was a third grade teacher for a really long time. And so what I've shared today is from one of my third grade classes. So even though this is an elementary sample for today, this project is very, very easily adaptable for all grade levels. And we can talk about that at the end if you've got questions, or if you're able to kind of see how you can adapt it. That's fantastic. So the first thing is I'm also going to talk about artifacts. So this is connecting with our own culture through family artifacts. And this focuses on self-awareness and relationship skills. These are the project steps for this first part. So introducing the concept of culture to your students, and however you choose to do that is very flexible. There are a plethora of options out there that you can use. Then the students determine an important family artifact and what they want to share. And then they interview their parents or their grandparents or some other family member to learn more about that. And that helps them gain a deeper understanding of their culture through this artifact and why is it important to their family and what is the connection or what is the value. And then the students present this artifact to their classmates through a class presentation. So here is that process, kind of step by step. For me, I always did culture units. So based on the cultural background of my students, I would create a unit to kind of help explore that. And we would do different arts and crafts, and we would do cooking, and we would learn about geography and many, many things. But you can decide what works best for you for introducing culture. And then the students went home and they identified the artifact and they interviewed their parents, and then they created their presentations. And then they came to class and they shared the artifacts. And so this is a really great way to create good relationships among the students and to learn about their each other's cultures. And the more they understand it, the more they can enjoy and appreciate each other's cultures as well. Right. And so that was the first part of the project. The second part is then expanding and sharing more of our cultures through a collaborative class culture book project. So this focuses on self-management. Students have to be able to do research and time management and following directions and things like that, as well as social awareness as they're learning about each other's cultures in more depth. So each student is responsible for designing 2 to 3 pages of our class culture book. This resource is available. It's quite in-depth. So this is available to you. And it comes with the template as well as parent letters and a guide for teachers on how to implement this with your students. So again, it's very flexible how you as the teacher want your students to design their pages. It can be very simple like this one, or it can be more complex if you have older students. Yeah, so they also have a little bit of ownership in the design. They're learning skills around technology, finding images, designing the pages and things like that. And then for us, we shared it with parents. So we invited the parents to come in. We did an author share, and it was a really great experience for everyone. So that's kind of the second part of the project. And then so that's the community part. And then the third part is the virtual exchange. So this is where students are now able to interact with people on more of a global scale. So this focuses on responsible decision-making and cultural awareness and sensitivity. So we have a program called the Responsible Digital Citizens, and it's a 6-week virtual cross-cultural exchange program that focuses on digital journals. So it's very simple and easy to implement. It helps students learn about reflective writing as well as blogging, and tapping into the journal prompts focus on social, emotional, and cultural topics, so they can tap deeper into those concepts as well. So they're guided through this process over 6 weeks. Again, they do their own reflective writing, and then they interact through virtual Zoom calls or Google Classroom calls to share their learning and share, just interact a little bit in person as well. And so we will be able to, we are launching a new exchange program in January. And so we are looking for students or classrooms abroad who would like to join and participate in this program. I'll quickly run through it. The goals, again, to increase SEL competencies, cultural awareness, as well as academic content. And it's beneficial because it helps enrich your curriculum as an educator, provides opportunities for students to practice real life interactions with global peers, and it helps to enhance 21st century skills. This is kind of a breakdown of the 6-week program and how it works. This is also included in the resource, so you can see it in more depth. We use 2 EdTech platforms that are secure so that the interactions are appropriate and monitored. It includes all of this type of support and ongoing training and facilitation support, and all the resources as well as access to the EdTech platforms that you will need. So Last year, we had 75 teachers join. We connected over 900 students across 11 countries and 42 classrooms. It was quite successful. We got a lot of really positive feedback, both from students and from the teachers. And many hope to join again. And so this is a little bit of video that we can use to wrap up. And then that will be the end of my presentation. So thank you for your time and this opportunity to share with you. And after the video, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Hello, my name is Candy. I am from Taiwan. My best friend is Grace. Hi. I love this Know My World program because I was successfully able to connect with the students from Taiwan. I was very happy to share my thoughts in Manga Chapter. It was fun and a new learning experience for me.
Trying to exchange diaries with the India partner school. I want to improve my English. I want to learn more about Indian cultures.
I want to add my experience, I want to practice in my English, and I want to make some friends from other country, and I think that will be fun.
If I throw it at Bennett and Bennett catches the ball, then I'm out. But if Bennett throws it at me and it hits me and I don't catch it, then I'm out. And that's dodgeball.
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you.
你好，Zubi，我叫 Haley，很高兴认识你。
Hi, Elia. I'm Annie. Nice to meet you. Congratulations and happy graduation.
Hi, I'm Amber. Nice to meet you. Congratulations and happy graduation.
Thank you for joining me and for joining us today. And we'll see you again.
That's a really multicultural experience. Thank you for your work, Genevieve.
Thank you. No problem.
We have 4 questions, but lack of time. So I will ask you now one question, and then I will ask if you have the energy maybe to write a little bit on the Facebook as, you know, a short answers also to other questions so that we don't leave them. Okay, so I will ask you this question. So how do you measure and evaluate the improvement of social emotional learning skills if you evaluate them?
Yes, we conducted an exploratory study, and we did that using pre and post survey questions. We interviewed the students as well, and we interviewed the parents and asked them questions to see if they saw any growth in their children at home. And so through using this data from the pre and post surveys, also our own classroom observations. We have a lot of classroom discussions, and so we can record those and monitor and track the student responses and see how they're starting to use more of the language and the wording, see how they're interacting on the playground or at lunch or during group settings, how they're resolving conflict, all of those things. So yes, we do use quite a few different methods to kind of track the progress and the impact, and it's all positive. It's great.
Yeah, obviously. Thank you very much. But are you based in UK or you are just traveling across the globe all the time?
I am from the US, but I have lived in Taiwan for the past 12 years, and I'm still here in Taiwan.
You are still there. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
it's my second home. Yes,
Thank you
of
very
course.
much.
Thank you
for everything, and I put the link on the private chat in which you can find the thread of the live streaming and maybe just short answers to the other questions as well. And we move now to Sweden. Jonas Abrahamsson, thank you very much for joining us. We will see now another case of needs for needs. So how experience-based knowledge can improve social sustainability. So we are all about the experience today. I'm curious. So yeah, it's your floor. You can start sharing screen and give us your idea.
Thank you very much. So I'm having my jacket on. It's not because I'm leaving. It's because it's very cold in here. As you know, we have this war going on. So it's winter and it's cold inside. We're saving energy here in Sweden. So I will look like this, but everything's fine.
We wouldn't even notice if you wouldn't mention, so you look great in any case.
Yeah, it's good to know. So let's see here. I'm trying to. I will just share my whole screen like this.
Yep.
It works fine, right?
It works great. Yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, I'm the project manager for this Erasmus Plus finance project Needs for NEETs. And who am I and who do I work for? I mean, I as I said in the beginning, I work with folk high schools here in Sweden, and it's a Scandinavian non-formal education concept, very original concept. It's mixed with non-formal education and adult education in some way. We try to make alternatives for people who didn't feel at home in school, let's say, like dropouts and people who need more time, or like who learn in a different way, who didn't feel seen in high school or in upper secondary school or in secondary school. So yeah, we try to create this alternative for learners, basically. And Needs for Needs is it's a European project including Norway, Sweden, and Belgium and Germany. You can see all the partners here, and you see the logo VHS there. It stands for I mean that's a folk high school in Stuttgart. So we are actually the idea of folk high schools are on tour, you could say. It's nice to see that we have small examples outside of Scandinavia as well, now in Germany also. So that's nice. And for you who don't know, NEET is an abbreviation. It stands for Young People Not Educated, Employed, or in Training. I guess you know this because the majority of you guys watching are teachers, but still I wanted to make sure that you are on board. So yeah, the idea with Needs for Needs is to, as you were talking about before, I mean, the British example that we heard about before, with working with validity and creativity of our learners, like what could you actually teach me, kind of that approach? If a teacher, instead of being just a teacher, assuming that learners are only learners, we could step into a new atmosphere where we try to create knowledge together, where my students actually could be my teachers. So yeah, with this project, we try to co-create teaching materials where NEETs themselves are the experts, where they are arranging competence developments with us teachers as students, basically, as learners. And this idea derived from a Swedish partner that is on board this project named Support Group Network. They are based in Vänersborg in West Sweden. And they are working a lot with self-organizing together with and by refugees themselves. Since refugees, of course, have a lot of resources. They have traveled, long distance to come to Sweden, and they are resource-strong persons. And it's just it's a bit sad that they just keep on waiting for their asylum for a lot of years without actually giving the society what kind of resources they have, and providing and co-creating with society. So yeah, Support Group Network made advantage of all the resources that already exist in asylum centers. So we got really inspired by Support Group Network and how they worked in Sweden. So we decided to, within my administration in West Sweden, Region Västra Götaland, it's called in Swedish, we decided to apply for money, which resulted in a project called FIER, Fast Track Integration in European Regions. Maybe some of you have heard of it before, I don't know. But there we decided to work very closely with Support Group Network and their developed React model. I will move on to that later. But yeah, we got really inspired and interested in their work. And we felt like maybe we could adapt and use their methods on our target group as well, because we work a lot with young adults or youth who haven't finished school and are not able to apply for a job yet. I mean, they don't have the CVs good enough for getting a job. So yeah, we were inspired by their way of working and maybe applying their methods on our target group. So through FIER and a Swedish project called the We Project, we got the feeling that we should try to have this international project where we adapt these tools on needs, basically. So that's what we are doing right now. And on Sunday, we are leaving to Germany with a package that we made this year together with these young people that we have worked with. So they will be the teachers in Germany, in Stuttgart, next week. And we will be some teachers and work counselors and people from civil society going to Stuttgart, and yeah, we will get trained by these needs in questions. So as you can see here on this slide, we've had local pilots in Sweden and in Norway and in Germany, and now we will carry out full-grown workshops carried out by these NEETs in question. So there will be one in Stuttgart now next week, and then we will take the best practices out of that workshop and create some workshop days in April as well next year in Borås, also in West Sweden. So yeah, the React model, it contains of 6 different tools that Support Group Network thought were good to have when they work with youth. So they had to remodel their package a bit, since they had a completely new target group. I mean, some NEETs, of course, have a migrant background as well, so it's not completely new, but there are some additional individuals, so it might be some new aspects to take into account. And after some pilots, they decided that 6 tools were relevant to add to this React package. And one of the tools is a tool that lies very close at heart for me, and it's called Forum Theater. So I was really happy that Support Group Network wanted to work with Forum Theater in Germany now next week, and that NEETs themselves will carry out Forum Theaters with us teachers and work counselors. And for you who don't know what Forum Theater is, it's a part of the theater of the oppressed, created by Augusto Boal in the 1960s. So it's had its ups and downs in popularity among the decades, and now in Sweden and many other European countries, it has been like a boom of Forum Theater initiatives, which is really inspiring, and I'm really happy about it. And I mean, in the beginning, it was like a social project for literacy programs in Brazil, in the favelas, where Augusto Boal made theaters in order for people to raise awareness and start to discuss the importance of actually mobilizing themselves in order to prevent oppression in these neighborhoods, in these favelas. There were a lot of problems with police oppression and stuff, and they couldn't change the system, since if you back then in the 1960s in Brazil, you weren't able to vote if you didn't read or write, if you were an analphabet. So there was this initiative to try to raise people's awareness that it's important to have literacy programs, and they made that through theater. But then there was this coup d'etat in Brazil, so Augusto Boal had to go on exile to Argentina. And then he was traveling a lot, and he went to Europe occasionally, and he got insights about how oppression was like in Europe. And those insights, he has written about those insights in his book, Rainbow of Desires, which is a very interesting read. And it's very inspirational to work with the work of Boal in Europe. And I don't know if you know the structure of Forum Theater, but in Germany now, when we will go on Sunday, I guess that there will be a lot of plays about oppression. And the nice thing with Forum Theater is that the audience have a chance to step in the play and try to change the oppression happening in the play. And during our pilots, we've had so many interesting examples of themes that NEETs want to bring up. And it's been great discussions among adults and NEETs on what kind of prejudice we have towards each other, and it's been a lot of laughs, it's been a lot of tears. Yeah, it's a great way of just raising issues and putting it on the table instead of just presuming things about each other. So yeah, I'm really happy that there are going to be a lot of forum theaters in Germany next week. So the play in forum theater are being played twice, if you didn't get that. First time it's played, and then the main idea of forum theater is that the ending ends like a catastrophe. So then the second time it's been played, the audience can try to change the ending, making it turn into a happy ending, to kind of prevent the oppression from taking place. Yeah, I think this is it for now for me, because there might be many questions, and I would like to focus on your questions instead of just talking about the project. We don't really know the results yet because we are in the middle of the first activity here. We've made a lot of interesting local pilots, but the main results will be in 2 weeks. So yeah, you just keep in touch with me if you want to know how it went, and just send me an email if you want to learn about the other tools of the React model as well. I think I'll stop there for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have a time for one quick question. Do you think that NEETs can be involved in new Green Deal program?
Wow, that's a very
because the
interesting
topic
question.
is also sustainability, probably. So maybe
yeah,
this
I mean,
was
we work
the
with
idea for
social
the-
sustainability, but of course, social sustainability will not exist without ecological sustainability. So yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think of course they can. A lot of these issues that we've had with the help of Forum Theatre is on climate change and the frustration that the adult generation don't take it seriously. I think it would be very nice to have the React model, to use the React model in conversations between stakeholders, like political stakeholders, and NEETs, where NEETs could get their voice heard, connected to the new Green Deal program, how to sustain, I mean, how to make that deal relevant, and how to maintain the deal in these times.
Right. Well, maybe this is an idea for further project.
Yeah.
Can be. Also, I can say that I have many friends among psychotherapists, and they are telling me that there is an increasing trend that people are coming with climate change anxiousness to the therapy. So it's a raising issue, and especially among young people. Yeah. Okay, so Jonas, thank you very much for your presentation. We move to Marija Nedevska. Hi, Marija.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, thank you. And I have to say a very big thank you because you were ready to jump in. For all the others that do not know, yesterday we had 2 cancellations of the presentations for this pan-European conference session, and Marija was so kind enough that I asked her yesterday whether she can have a presentation, and she said yes. So thank you, and really a deep
You're welcome. It is my pleasure to be here with you on this conference.
Yeah, you were right 1 year ago or something like
yes,
that.
Yes,
Here?
1 year ago. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
About the critical thinking skills.
Yes, Yes.
But today we are moving to problem-based learning on social emotional competences.
Competencies. Yes.
Okay, so Maria, you can share your screen, your presentation, and we will listen to you.
Just a second.
Okay, are you still in school?
Yes, in the
Or
same
the-
school in Lozovo. Yes.
We hear some children in the back.
I'm at sorry, I'm at home now.
Ah, you are home. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Can you help me how to share?
I can actually share your presentation,
Yeah.
no
Okay.
problem. Yes. I will upload it. Just a second, then for a little bit patience. Problem-based learning, here it is. It will take few seconds to upload, and then we will go. So thank you very much to all the participants. So the link for the certificate of attendance is in the comment. Please use it and write your name and email with correct data. And be patient. We will send the certificate as soon as possible. All right, so here is your presentation. Maria, you can start presenting it. Maybe if you go on the screen, I think you have your own control so that you can press next slide. If not, then I will.
No, I can't.
You can or cannot? Yeah,
cannot.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So how project-based learning and strength CEL skills. Project-based learning depends on students' abilities to work together and compare. In then collaborative process, children begin to feel comfortable and secure in sharing and also academically challenge themselves with something new, with something new. This is writing by educational specialist Holly Bergon in Edutopia. In the project-based learning and CEL connection, Dr. Nancy Sula, founder of ID Corporation, states that when you engage students in the design process to solve a problem, you build many social emotional learning competencies, and through problem, project, pursuit, or place-based learning approaches, students engage in authentic experience directly tied to the learning. And these experiences not only encourage risk taking, problem solving, and community engagement, but they help reinforce key social emotional competencies needed for personal, academic, and social growth. Project based learning also has become widely used in science education as a promising teaching approach to promote learning in its cognitive, social, and emotional aspects. We should give more accent or more attention to the social emotional learning to the students. PBL enhances deep collaborative multidisciplinary learning, engage learners in authentic practices, and builds an interactive culture where learners always prototype, reflect, redesign, revise, and evaluate, which are considered the core practices of project-based learning. This is something that we project-based learning and strengthening the social emotional learning we experience with our Erasmus project from my school, where we're running already 8 projects at this time. And this is how we engage the student to strengthen their social emotional learning through project-based learning. So next slide, please, Blanca. Yeah. So teacher education frameworks have begun to integrate project-based learning into their preparation programs. Studies in the field indicate that PBL approach has a positive effect on pre-service teachers in terms of their problem-solving skills, learning achievements, and their views regarding the teaching profession. PBL is viewed as a promising approach for building 21st century skills since by its nature, it fosters critical thinking, problem-solving skills, teamwork, and leadership. But an unfortunate legacy of the cognitive model that dominates education is the belief that everything important in life takes place from the neck up. This belief is the primary reason that many teachers struggle with project-based learning, and at its best, project-based learning taps into intangibles that make learning effortless and engaging: drive, passion, purpose, and peak performance. But peak performance doesn't start with a standardized curriculum. Project-based learning often presents students often present students with a real world problem. Students are then challenged to solve the problem through research and inquire, often collaborating with one another and producing a final product that encompasses everything they have learned. The project relates back to the standards and learning objectives teachers are covering, but in a more tangible way. Oftentimes, project-based learning will naturally integrate objectives from a variety of subjects within the same project. So, what can I say about project-based learning? Through the projects where I was involved, I can say that they in most of the students they help to open up themselves, like build their self confidence, to be more communicative, to know more people from other cultures and visit other countries, and to skip up not to skip up, but to overcome the prejudices and the stereotypes that we have for some country. Next one. So we have a powerful combination of project-based learning and social emotional learning, and this is it says that CEL has become a bit trendy lately, but it's not a trend as by my opinion. It's a critical part of students' soft skill development, and there is a more exploring the relationship between project-based learning and social emotional learning, and it's an idea that Matinga Regards and Mike Cachet explore in their upcoming book, The Pulse of PBL, and their thinking on this subject has definitely shaped my thinking on this powerful overlap as well. Before you dive into this piece, you might want to check out Mike Cashell's articles on the merit of CEL and PBL, as well as how to combine social emotional learning and project-based learning in your classroom. You see it here in the picture that there is it's a circle that there are. It said CEL is critical for PBL and PBL is critical for CEL. So one can stand without another. So next one. We have a few factors that can be condensed into 3 bullet points, like caring relationships. People perform better when they feel attended to. A caring relationship begins with recognizing and respecting the autonomy of the individual, the desire of meaning. Human beings work harder on behalf of themselves or others when they have a goal. The goal must be relevant to the person's needs and desires. The power of mastery achievement is a natural state of being. People enjoy doing tasks well and feel an intrinsic reward that perpetuates a spiral of further achievement. Organizational experts tell us to search upstream in time and place to identify the barriers to solving a problem. I suggest that if teachers want to put the powerful principles of human performance to work in projects, at least 3 steps would help. Like redefine rigor, that this is the factors. This is the first step, and it's factors underlying SEL match the mantra that drove education reform in the last decade, like rigor, relevance, and relationship. More relevant education attempts to infuse learning with greater authenticity and meaning. Attention to student-centered teaching methods or improved school climate reflect the desire to harness the power of a relationship. But something's missing. That is, the concept of rigor remains static. Rigor is still associated exclusively with curriculum, information mastery, and testing. In the human performance field, rigor is a measure of personal performance, not a standard quantity how much information has been learned. But as a PBL teacher, you can make this crucial shift and envision a mastery goal for students. Step 2, establish a drive and thrive culture. Before starting PBL, establish a culture of inquiry, excellence, and personal responsibility. This takes time and effort. Begin the year of semester with a culture building event. Shaking the perception students hold about school is a good place to begin. Use a project. If you had experience with PBL, plan a short project that opens the year with questions such as why school, and teach the basic of teamwork. Retrain your students. School trains students in passive skills such as listening and paying attention. Instead, teach students to be flexible in their skills, know when not to pay attention. Introduce and identify the key skills of 21st century life and reinforce the skill building throughout the year. So, step 3, acknowledge the soft skills as hard skills. So, knowledge accumulation, critical thinking, reading, and writing have long been considered the essential skills necessary for preparing students for college entry. These skills no longer service. Navigating a changing world demands a communicative, creative, and collaborative person with a flexible, empathetic, resilient, and persistent temperament. But how easy or soft is it to be a good listener, an empathetic person, or to demonstrate persistence and flexibility in the face of challenge? This is the hard, meaningful stuff of life, not the fluff. It's time to make change out our mindset and be more intentional about teaching the disposition and personality attributes that lead to better work ethic, more engagement, improved relationships, a greater sense of well-being, and better projects. Project-based learning and social emotional learning, this is a perfect match. This is project-based learning not only makes instruction more meaningful and for students, but helps develop the skills they will need to be successful in their post-secondary lives. This project-based learning gives the students opportunities for differentiations. One of the 7 essential elements is students' voice and choice. And if this is implemented, there is natural more differentiation happening. Students can choose what topic they want to focus on within the main driving questions, which resources they want to use, and what type of product or output they like to develop. Students' engagement. PBL makes the connection between the classroom and the outside world easier to grasp. What this means? This means that we as a teacher no longer need to convince students you'll need this later in your life, as our teacher used to say, or you'll use this strategy in college. Students are actively solving real world problems that their communities are experiencing right now. This is the first century skills, and the framework of first century learning identifies both learning and innovation skills. Learning and innovation skills include creativity and innovation, critical thinking, and problem-solving, communication, and collaboration. PBL encourages students to develop all of these skills as students carry to solve these real-world problems. Additionally, students work with their classmates throughout the project, which fosters communication and collaboration skills. This is a picture where we can say on the center we are self, and we have team, school, school, community that are some environment around us, and we have problem-based learning. We have section 1, it's local, and we can change with self-awareness and self-management. Who am I? Then from ourselves we go to the team, where we can engage relationships and management. Where am I? Our team go to the school, where we have interconnectedness, social awareness. What's my role? Whether it is on the school, and it's school, it's on community, nation, and world. It's section 4. It's local. What their purpose or mission, like a mission, responsible decision making. How do I serve? And this is also connected us to ourselves. You see that this is a one big circle where everybody is connected. So we can with this problem-based learning and collaborative and competitor training skill, developing skills. Next one. So the powerful combination. Mike Cashel, together with the PBL and SEL expert Matinga Ragaz, you can find them on internet, build their book, The Pulse of PBL, on the following framework provided by Cashel. This picture, I think that Genevieve told us about this picture, social and emotional learning, that has a five parts, like self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. This is the 21st century skills that we need to have. School-wide culture practices and policies, authentic partnerships, aligned learning opportunities, and everything that we need to have. And this is all put in communities, families and caregivers, schools and classroom, where we can engage our and developing our social and emotional learning and skills of project-based learning that we developed. Project-based learning can help facilitate soft skill development and create the context for students to engage in social emotional learning. At the same time, when students also engage in social emotional learning, they develop critical soft skills that help them create better projects. This leads to a reciprocal relationship, where PBL leads to SEL, and SEL improves students' performance in PBL tasks. Project-based learning provides the perfect context for students to engage in social emotional learning, and SEL provides a chance for students to learn about the key soft skills that will allow students to thrive in collaborative projects. You see the pictures that as I mentioned before, that is in this one big circle, that project-based learning can be without social emotional learning, and social emotional learning can be without project-based learning. Self-awareness. This is something. This is a PBL is a great way to teach students self-awareness. It begins by empowering students with voice and choice. In the process, they are integrating personal and social identities. They might tackle a particular problem that relates to their community, and thus they are identified personal, cultural, and linguistic assets. In design thinking projects, students can become aware of their personal biases and prejudices, while also linking feelings, values, and thoughts. Furthermore, the revision phase provides students with the opportunity to engage in self-assessment and peer assessment. They develop their confidence, their belief, and positive attitude also. Next one. Self-management. Self-directed learning involves being a self-starter and a self-manager. In the CASTLE framework, this includes exhibiting self-discipline and self-motivation and demonstrating personal and collective agency. Next one. Here they own every part of the process. In project-based learning, student ownership includes every phase of the project. Students ask their own questions, they pursue their own sources and engage in authentic research. Students analyze data and come to their own conclusions. They generate their own ideas as they engage in brainstorming and ideation. Students revise their work and they clarify their audience and find ways to launch their work to an authentic audience. Responsible decision making. Project provides an excellent context for responsible decision making. For example, consider the CASTLE goals of demonstrating curiosity and open-mindedness and learning how to make a reasoned judgment after analyzing information, data, and facts. This aligns perfectly with an inquiry-based learning project. Relationship skills. Collaborative projects provide the ideal context for students to develop relationship skills. Independence is the overlap between autonomy and group cohesion. It's what happens when each student has voice, choice, and personal accountability, while also depending on one another to accomplish their tasks. In these moments, they create something better together than what they would have created on their own. In SEL, this involves practicing teamwork and collaborative problem solving, and seeking or offering support and help when needed. Take, for example, the brainstorming strategy. Students actually benefit from listening to one another, depending on each other for new ideas. Even the lowest student had something valuable to add to the group. Another key aspect is trust. As teachers, we can create structures and protocols that will help students develop trust and group cohesion. This fits within the idea of developing positive relationships, and you might build trust through doing group trust building activities like mini maker projects, divergent thinking challenges, and get to know you activities. But you might also take it to the next level by having students develop their own team norms or group commitments. Social awareness. Students can develop social awareness in every phase of a project. As they work collaboratively, they will need to learn how to value their group members' perspectives and recognize the strengths in others. However, design thinking projects provide a great opportunity to become more social aware at the larger level. This fits within the social emotional learning goal to demonstrating empathy and compassion. As teachers, we can create structures that help facilitate empathy. It might involve community interviews, observations, doing a day in the life activity, or taking a more quantitative approach with a community needs assessment. Empathy and social awareness also include the need to identify your own bases. How are PBL and SEL connected? PBL act as a kind of glue between social emotional development and academic content that can positively impact students' growth and help young people manage emotions and forge good relationships. Because PBL encourages students to engage in SEL skills like personal development, collaboration, critical thinking, communication, and relationship building, it makes for a natural framework for teaching. The voice and choice afforded to students by PBL satisfies an important element of SEL as well. By highlighting authentic connections to the world beyond the classroom, project-based learning helps students exercise agency, a core component of social and emotional development, asserts LER. Without a doubt, a supportive social and emotional learning process makes project-based learning experiences more effective and meaningful. This means that a social and emotional learning process it has a supportive role in project-based learning experience, and it makes it more effective and meaningful. And this is said by Lucas Educational Research by doing their researching, and after they are analyzing the researching stuff. 5 SEL skills supported by PBL. The Center for Academic, Social and Emotional Learning, CASEL, developed a framework for SEL with 5 core competencies key for success in school and beyond. The skill set, known as the CASEL 5, is largely supported by PBL instructions like self-awareness. CASEL defines self-awareness as how will you are aware of your own actions, abilities, thoughts, and emotions, as exemplified by the following skills and attributes: identifying emotions, accurate self-perceptions, recognizing strengths, self-confidence, self-efficacy, growth mindset. Self-management, sometimes called self-control or self-regulation. This is the ability to take responsibility for your own behavior, emotions, and general well-being. In the CASEL framework, this includes impulse control, stress management, self-discipline, self-motivation, goal setting, organization skills. Responsibility decision making. Responsible decision making entails making informed decisions that are safe, ethical, and fall within social norms. Students must also take into account the consequences of these decisions and how they may impact the well-being of themselves and others. CASEL attributes the following process to this task: identify problems, analyzing situations, solving problems, evaluating, reflecting, and ethical responsibility. Relationship skills, and this is include the ability to create and maintain healthy relationships with diverse groups of people. Students achieve this by listening, communicating, cooperating, navigating conflict, resisting social pressure, and advocating for help when necessary. Skills and activities: communication, social engagement, relationship building, teamwork. Social awareness. CASEL describes social awareness as the ability to empathize with and take on the perspective of individuals from diverse cultural backgrounds, in addition to identifying social and ethical behaviors norms. Social awareness skills may manifest as perspective taking, empathy, and appreciate diversity and respect for others, which I think that the empathy has the most highlighting these years, because we should be more empathetic and more empathic between each other. So I will say something about our Erasmus Plus projects in my school. And we are running around 7 Erasmus Plus project. The connection between Erasmus Plus project and project-based learning with social emotional learning has a crucial influence in students and teachers as well. These projects influence in our students. They build their self-confidence, making friendship with students from other countries. The students learn about other cultures and languages as well. They build their opinion for the foreign countries, feel more free to contact with unknown people. Also, they build the self-awareness that they are important for the project and the world. And Erasmus Plus, they build relationships with others on some higher level and learn to manage their time and respect the others and their opinions. The mobilities for the projects are very useful because they build confidence in students and make them to be more open for new ideas and projects and new things in their life. Actually, they learn to get out of the comfortable box they are used to be there. And and that's it. So I think that these Erasmus projects developed a lot of social emotional learning skills in our students in my school, because they have a lot of mobilities. We were host to a lot of mobilities also, and if they learn something, they learn from these projects.
Thank you very much, Marija, and thank you for being so active and engage yourself in the Erasmus Plus projects. We came to the end. So the next Pan-European Conference on Digital Education is on 22nd of December, so just before Christmas. I hope to receive many new presenters, so please sign yourself up as a presenter and present your teaching best practice. We would be grateful to hear from you. And for today, we can just say big thank you to all the presenters. I hope to see you in December, all of you. Bye.